I am live. Welcome everybody to, I don't even know what number live this is in this group. A live called Creating with the Entity of Your Business. Please let me know if you're listening to this in the future, where you're listening from. I love to hear from you guys, and it's so cool. I just love being here, being able to contribute to you guys with changing your reality with business. So I'm going to wait a little while before you guys come on. I am home in Australia now. The last live I did was, I can't even remember where, somewhere in Italy, which completely changed my reality, completely changed my life, completely changed my business. Hi guys. And so I'm back in Australia. However, I am going back to Italy in July, and I'm going to facilitate some classes over there. So if you are in Italy, in Europe, I would love to meet you in person. I'm facilitating co-facilitating a foundation with my friend Marco at the end of July, and then a relationship done different class in August. So hello from Romania and Perth. How does it get any better? Amazing. So it's really interesting. This conversation was like pinging for me to have a conversation with you guys about. And it's probably like one of the most challenging conversations we could actually have, because this whole idea about creating with the entity of your business actually exists beyond the mind. If you will not give up your mind, you actually cannot create with the entity of your business. And the thing is, so many of us love our mind, or are taught to function from your head, function from thinking, function from your mind. What started to change all this for me in business was I actually took a talk to the entities class, I reckon 2 or 3 years ago now, and it was actually the greatest business class I've ever taken, which I did not expect. But what it taught me was to really start working with all of these entities that actually desire to contribute to us, which includes our business, which includes our bank account, which includes our body, which includes relationships. So when we talk about like what is the entity of your business, an entity is actually an energy that's defined. It has like this life force of its own. And as I mentioned, when we refer to entities, we can refer to a whole load of different things. The entity of your business is a particular energy, it has a particular presence and desire, and it knows what it came here to be and to create in the world. And the number one thing that keeps us from actually creating with the entity of our business is our mind, and is our need to control everything that shows up in our life. So the thing is, like, as long as you guys make your mind valuable, you always push away the elements of consciousness that are there to contribute to you, including your business. So everything you guys have made vital, valuable, and real about your mind, which creates the resistance and rejection of the elements of consciousness that are there to contribute to you, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, ornane, shorts, boys, povers, and beyonds. For those of you that are completely new to this group, that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. I am an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator. It is this amazing magic wand that shifts the energies that keep us from actually creating that as our reality. So, and please, for those of you that are listening, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat box as well. And I love that you're telling me who you are. Because as I said, and as you know, I can't even see your names. So first of all, like, what is your business actually capable of creating that you have never acknowledged, that you've been avoiding because it doesn't actually match your current definition of reality? And this is the thing, like, when we are functioning from our head or functioning from control, we've decided we don't actually recognize that we have this definition of reality, or we have this definition of what our business should look like, what should occur, how things occur, and in what way things have to show up. And the thing is, like, that does nothing to actually really create this space of winging it in business, basically. And when I truly talk about winging it, I mean, that's the whole point of this group, is really to have that ease of succeeding that is only possible if you include all conscious elements, which includes your business. The thing is, most of us are not taught or empowered to listen to the whispers of the universe, to engage with the energy of our business and receive blissfully to success. But what if that was truly a possibility for all of you? Sarah, you mean I have to be out of control to wing it? Oh my God. I should have put that in the disclaimer. Like, if you're joining this group, you have to be willing to go beyond your mind and out of control. How does it get better? So instead, what we're taught in business, and this is definitely what I was taught with business coaches that I'd hired, and they're not wrong. It's like, but none of us are empowered to know this information. We're taught to work hard, that energy doesn't exist, that we're wrong, and that our mind and thinking is the most valuable thing to get you where you want to be in business. However, if you will not create with your business and listen to those whispers, you cannot actually have that ease of succeeding. And all that's left for you to create with is force and effort and hustle and hard work and judgment that is what's offered by this reality. So everything that is, and everything keeping you from the ease of succeeding that you've always known should be possible through the creation with every conscious element in the universe. We destroy and create that times a gazillion. Right, wrong, good and bad, fun, poc, ornane, shorts, boys, boyvids, and beyonds. And I should ask you guys as well, like, what have you defined creating with the entity of your business as? Like, what have you decided that actually is? How have you decided that has to show up? What have you decided that that looks like? I would love to hear from you guys. So creating with the entity of your business is not a fixed thing. And I want to say that first, because the thing is, like, none of it's going to be fixed, and you cannot actually define what creating with your business is. So that's why I said at the start, this is a really interesting conversation to have, because all of this exists beyond your mind, and it exists within that space of knowing. Creating with your business is this moment by moment presence of possibility. And you have to be able to adjust and change moment by moment rather than actually being fixed on a decided reality. Otherwise, creating with the entity of your business is not going to work. It demands this presence of you where you listen to the whispers of your business, you listen to the whispers of the universe, and receive blissfully to success. The thing is, we're not empowered to actually know what we know or even trust that we know. And for most of us, we're taught that we actually are going crazy. And I know, like, there's so many people that actually have a capacity with entities. And when I talk about entities in this sense, I mean like ghosts or spirits. And this reality tells you that you're actually going crazy. But really, the only difference between me working with the entity of my business and this reality is the fact that I know what I know. So, as I mentioned, like, creating with your business from the space of this reality is force and judgment and control. It's deciding, including, and computated, which only ever creates limitation. If you judge you, if you take a point of view, if you reject all that you can have, you're actually working against your business. And I want you guys to get kind of the difference between this. Like, creating with the entity of your business is listening to those whispers, is following the lightness, is trusting what you know. As soon as you judge you, as soon as you judge your business, as soon as you make yourself wrong, as soon as you function from a limiting belief or reject everything that desires to contribute to you, you're actually working against your business. So wait, we're not going crazy. No, you're not going crazy. Wendy says, I didn't understand anything because I didn't decide anything because I didn't understand it. Awesome. Alicia, so an entity called your business is an actual entity. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And in this reality, actually, like, a business is actually called an entity. So, like, it is actually defined in this reality as an entity. So most people don't realize that when we speak about entities, we're actually speaking about an energy that's defined. And that literally is our laptop, is our chair, is a book, is a microphone, and they all actually have consciousness. You can actually speak to and communicate with all of them. And that's when most people around you think you're going totally insane. And that's where the ease of succeeding actually lies. So, cool. Thanks, Sarah. Awesome. Amazing. Does anyone have any questions so far? Please feel free to pop them in the chat. There was a few questions like under what I'd written, which I will get to as well. So the thing is, what I want you guys to realize as well is creating with your business, or any other entity for that matter, is only actually available if you're willing to receive. And I know there's this word again, like receiving, but if you actually desire to create with your business and other entities, you're going to have to receive the magnitude that you actually have access to. How many of you refuse to create with the entity of your business so you actually never have to receive? And this is what I have seen kind of occur in the world, is like, is it true that you don't know how to create with the entity of your business? Or is it that you're using that to never actually have to receive? Creating with your business begins with question, always. Hey business, what are you actually capable of that I haven't given you permission to be? You actually have to start communicating with your business to start accessing the consciousness of it. And when I decided to do this do this live, I actually started looking at like, what are those elements that allow you to create with your business? So I've kind of written down like 1, 2, 3, and 4. And one of those is question, because when you ask a question, it opens you up to total knowing and total awareness. And it opens you up to actually then communicating with your business and talking to the consciousness of it. So, for example, asking your business, like, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Where would you like to be? Your business, without recognizing, is actually constantly telling you what its point of view is, what it would like to be, where it would like to be, who it would like to work with. And the thing is, like, the getting to this space to create with the entity of your business is going to require of you to become a steward of your business and to know that it has its own life form, instead of actually coming from the space of you deciding and telling your business what it has to be to make you money. So, what exercise and question would you suggest in order to have ease and clarity in engaging with the business entities? Cool. That's a great question, Marco. With that, I would say to relax. And this can be like the simplest tool ever, but when you relax, it's easier for you to actually tap into your infinite knowing and hear the whispers of your business. Relaxation and receiving actually go hand in hand. And in order to receive, to know what your business is asking for, you're going to have to submit, which means you're going to have to give up control. What have you made more valuable, control or total receiving? So, what could you receive from your business that your judgments actually prevent? And what judgments do you guys actually hold more near and dear to you in business than the freedom of not being able to think? And everything that is times a gazillion, we destroy and uncreate it, please. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, or in shorts, boys, povits, and beyonds. So when you relax, you become this space where all energy and knowing exists. And as an infinite being, we function from energy, space, and consciousness. We innately know everything. We are innately connected to every single molecule of the universe. And the thing is, when you actually have to go to your head to think about what to do next in business, where to post, what you have to do, who you have to talk to, then you're actually contracting down to the space of your mind, which gets you out of awareness, out of infinite knowing, into thinking. So my kind of go-to tool for all of this, to start perceiving the entity of your business even more, is to relax way more than I've ever been willing to relax before, to access the energy and the space and the consciousness where total knowing and total communion with your business actually exists. And this is what I mean, this being like an interesting conversation, because it's not going to sound like a certain way. It's not going to show up in a certain way. And this is where you guys are going to have to practice trusting you. This is going to be a practice in trust, which may seem like you guys are going crazy. And I'm not saying that it will seem like you're going crazy, but you've got to recognize that this is not something that we're empowered to know. For example, my awareness with my business shows up as thoughts. And I was kind of mentioning this in a foundation class I recently did, like, For me, there's really no difference between the way I used to function and the way I function now. It's just the way I used to function, I used to call it thinking, and this reality called it anxiety. But when I relax and access more space, then you can start to hear those whispers, and it doesn't seem like it's just this massive like download of all this information. And sometimes it can be. Just before I actually got on this live, I'm organizing to go out to central Queensland to do a few classes with a few friends. And one of Megan actually sent me like a link to an Airbnb that, we were like, we could stay out and do classes there. And it was really interesting because what showed up for me was this like fleeting thought that was like, yes, I desire to contribute to you totally. Like I desire to grow your classes. And that was like the Airbnb, like the entity of the house actually letting me know that it desired to contribute to us. And that could seem like you're going crazy. And that is often so silent that most people miss it, or most people just dismiss it, and they go to, do they just think that? And they start doubting themselves. So this is going to be a practice for you guys to truly trusting what you know. Sorry, I'm now I'm now going through the comments. Control party, yes. So Alicia says, are you saying that the universe will work out for you instead of trying to control things? Yes, I'll say more about that too. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I adore all of you on here. So where was I? I was going to trust. So relax. Marco, does that answer your question? Let me know. Cool. So the points that I wrote down for like the kind of the how to, like how to start engaging with the entity of your business was number one, to look at your point of view. What is your point of view about business? Do you value the infinite support and possibility that your business desires to be? Because most of us don't actually value that support and possibility enough. And again, this is so far beyond this reality, it's not funny. Ask yourself, what is it I truly believe? What's my point of view here? Do I truly trust that my business knows? Do I truly trust that my business has my back? Or do you desperately not want to believe that? Because in order to actually engage with the entity of your business and create with it, you have to trust that it knows and that it has your back. What point of view are you guys avoiding and defending that keeps you from receiving infinitely to success? And what point of view are you avoiding and defending that keeps creating your business that keeps creating with the entity of your business as a non-reality for you? In order to have the ease of succeeding, you must commit to ease and joy. And this is where you're going to have to get out of control, because ease and joy does not live where control lives, where need lives, where judgment lives. What I had to start asking myself with this and the whole idea of like winging it to a six-figure business is, if I had to give up ease and joy and glory for hard work, would that be a fair trade for me? If you guys had to give up hard work for ease and joy, would that be a fair trade to you? The thing that I've noticed is like creating with the entity of your business can come to you with so much ease that if you try and make it hard, you'll miss the whole thing completely. What if you guys started getting vulnerable with you and asking, do I like ease? Do I desire joy? Am I willing to receive the ease of succeeding that I've been asking for? Because if you will not give up your need for control, or your need for hard, or your need for judgment, the elements of consciousness cannot fill your world. What contributions have we been ignoring that if we wouldn't, then would be possible? Totally. Thank you, Sarah. Amazing. I've given up working in hospitality. Now my love of access bars and stuff is growing more. Yay. Awesome. How does it get better? If you guys have any more questions, put them in the chat as well. So the thing is, like, you must relinquish all control for hard. If you do not relinquish all control for hard, you cannot create with the entity of your business. And only then will you have available the force and the effort and the hard work that this reality permits. Most people don't actually desire to commit to ease and joy or commit to something they can't control. Because if you commit to actually creating with the entity of your business and allowing it to show you the way, allowing it to show you where it'd like to be, who it would like to talk to, who it would like to engage with, there is no insurance, but you have every possibility accompanying you. So ask yourself and look, number one, what's my point of view here? What point of view am I avoiding and defending that keeps creating with the entity of my business a non-reality for me? And what am I committed to and what am I prioritizing? If I had to give up hard work for ease and joy, would that be a fair trade to you? So number one is starting to look at that, because your point of view creates your reality. The next thing is question, which I've already spoken about. But as I said, question opens up the doorway to you communicating with the entity of your business. And like I said, for me, it shows up as thoughts. Like, it doesn't seem like it's much different to what I used to call my thoughts. But this is where you guys are going to have to practice and start recognizing, like, the whispers of your business. So in order to engage with your business, you're required to ask questions. And as I've already mentioned a few questions before, but the questions that you guys can start to ask your business right now, or particular class creations, or particular products, or whatever that is what do you know? What are you the source of? What can I contribute to you? What can we create together? What would you like to create? And what can we create in the world and beyond the known world? And by asking these questions, it's not to gain an answer. It's to put that out there. And what will occur is you'll start having different possibilities show up. You might have someone contact you saying, would you like to create something together? You might have something show up where you've had this kind of idea for a product or idea for a business that starts getting louder and louder. When you start getting those whispers, don't ignore them. Acknowledge what you know. Ask, am I perceiving my business here? Yes or no? And if you get a yes, that's going to start to strengthen that muscle of you actually like engaging with and communicating with your business. Ask questions to begin to open this dialogue and the exchange between the two of you. And like I said, this is going to be a process. It doesn't have to be hard work, but this is going to be a willingness to actually begin to trust what you know. So if you start to ask yourself, like, okay, am I perceiving my business? Is this my business? What does my business desire? Then what will start showing up is a level of ease of engaging and creating with the entity of your business. And the other part of that is you want to destroy and uncreate all your projections and expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections you have of your business. Because again, if you're functioning from any of those, and you're functioning from projection and expectation of what your business should look like, how many clients should be showing up, how much money you should be making, you can only ever take from the universe or take from your business. You can never actually receive. Would you be willing to let the gift of consciousness gift to you? So the third one I had written down was to relax, which I'd kind of already spoken about with Marco's question. But again, like, start asking yourself, anytime you're going into your head, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what to do next, trying to figure out where you have to go, writing that massive to-do list, like, before you do that, ask, like, what relaxation can I choose today? What relaxation in business is available that I've not yet chosen? Because let's be honest, like, business is not meant to be relaxing in this reality. It's a total non-reality. And what if that's more like your reality than ever before? So just start asking yourself and the universe to show you what relaxation in business actually looks like. And the fourth one I'd written down is to trust. As I said, this whole thing is going to be a practice in trust. There is no path that is defined in this. There is no, this is what it's going to show up as, this is what your business is going to sound like. I remember before I started using these tools of access consciousness, I did so many personal development classes and courses about like strengthening your intuition, increasing your intuition, because I didn't think that I was intuitive. Like I didn't think that I actually knew. What I had actually decided, like before using these tools and starting to trust what I know, I decided that literally my awareness or my business was going to sound like God. It was going to sound like this man that like boomed down from the clouds. It was like, do this, go here, choose this. And that's not what it actually showed up as. So that's what I like wanted to give you guys too, the awareness of like, one, what are you already aware of? Where are you already creating with the entity of your business that you actually haven't acknowledged? That if you acknowledged it would allow the whispers to exponentialize and become far louder. And two, like, what have you decided your awareness must look like, be like, or sound like? And if you're willing to destroy and uncreate all of those, then what would you actually be aware of? So, as I mentioned, like, if you do not follow the whispers of your business, then doing is a waste of your energy. It is a waste of your efforts if you are not listening to what it actually desires to be. But please recognize and acknowledge, like, and ask yourself, and let's do that now. So where are you already creating with how much are you already creating with the entity of your business that you haven't acknowledged? And everything that doesn't allow you to acknowledge it, times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, put and poke, all name shorts, boys, povits, and beyonds. And ask your business to be so loud that you can no longer miss its whispers anymore. Ask it to be so loud that you can no longer ignore it anymore. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with, and this is kind of a question I started playing with quite a while ago, I guess, like when I started all this, because kind of from the start, like I've been creating with my business without realizing. And I just thought it was like following what's light. Because if you are truly following what's light, that is actually creating with the universe, creating with the future, creating with your business. I started asking myself, like, what is calling me? What has been whispering, shouting, screaming, or insisting itself into the universe? There's like this energy of like, hello, can you be the source of this energy, please? What is that for you guys? What has been whispering, screaming, shouting, insisting itself into your world? And for me, that was literally this business group and my Winging It business program that we're, I think, like 1 month, 1.5 months into or whatever, that has been phenomenal. And that is what had been whispering and shouting and kind of screaming at me really since the start of really starting a business. It had this energy of like, can you be the source of this energy in the universe? The thing is, because I couldn't define it, because I couldn't define it, and because it didn't match the definition of business in this reality, I decided I couldn't have it. I decided I wasn't being it, and I decided that I couldn't introduce it to people because who wants that? It doesn't match this reality, until I realized all of you here probably. So the thing is, with all of that, like with any like whispers or anything like that, like ask, like, okay, cool. Is this a creation that would like to be created through me, that desires me to be the source of? What am I aware of here? What am I perceiving? The thing is, like, when it wants to exist, it will let you know. You cannot force it. And this is why I mentioned it on one of my, I think, group program calls the other day, of like having like an ideas booklet. So having like all these ideas, like any kind of ideas, whispers, or whatever you want to call it, that come to you, and writing it down. And then anytime something pings for like a new creation or a new business idea, or you just get like, now's the space and now's the time, go back to that list and go, okay, which one of you would like to be created right now? Like, which one of you would like to have your voice in the world? And again, just by asking yes, no questions. So when it's time, it will present itself to you if you're following the energy. Not because you've decided it needs to be a certain way, not because you've decided that it has to show up now. When it's time, it will present itself. And the thing is, like, when you are creating with the entity of your business or classes or products or whatever it is, and you listen to when it's time, then that's when everything shows up as if by magic. And for example, like when I posted my group business program in this group, like I posted once and we were almost completely full, which isn't meant to be a reality. You're meant to do like a massive launch strategy and launch plan. But the thing is, if you're truly listening to what desires to be created through you, and you're listening to, okay, now, like now's the time, then that's when magic can show up. And that for me is the magic of totally winging it and receiving blissfully to success. And you listening to the whispers, you creating with your business is the only thing that's going to be sustainable in business. If you're creating from the force or the effort or the should or the shouldn't or trying to define it, then your business will not be sustainable. So, also, like if you desire to create a future in business, you've got to be willing to create with the entity of it. So, how does it get any better than this? Thank you all for being here. And I hope that has been a contribution to you. I hope that I've been able to put words to like what I know about this. And what do you guys know about this that you've never acknowledged before? What do you know about creating with entities that you've never acknowledged before? And I do actually want to invite you guys. I do have a Talk to the Entities class coming up in a week's time. And even though it's not specific about business, like I said, it teaches you and strengthens that muscle of like knowing and being and receiving and perceiving, which is what's required to create with your business. So I invite you guys to that. If it would be a contribution to you, I wonder what it could change for business. And I've got some amazing creations coming up, which I'm going to start posting in this group too and invite you guys to it. And I've never mentioned to you guys, but I do business clarity sessions, financial presence sessions, all the things. So I just wanted to today, again, it was my business. It was like, please let people know that if they desire more, they can have more. And I'm like, okay, cool. How does it get better? So if you are listening to this on YouTube later on, thank you. I adore you all. And I haven't actually even been reading the chat, but thank you, all of you. I just saw Zena, cool. How does it get better? Okay, guys, I will see you guys. What's this month? May is almost done. Soon, in a few days' time, we'll pop new time and date links for the lives next month as well. And again, if there's anything you guys would love me to get to, please let me know. I think Alessandra had asked a question about money and clients and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't get to that, but I can do a live on that too. So thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon.